Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to add the Eon card to display the forecast weather information. Right here and right now, we don't have any styling added to our application. We are going to do that. But now, under this Eon card for displaying the current weather information, like the current temperature, the weather icon, the weather description, and some other informations down here. What we are going to do is, after this Eon card, we are going to add another Eon card as well, and we are going to use the Eon grid system. So let's go into our home.html file. So I'll open the home.html. So down here, after this first Eon card, I will create another Eon card. So Eon card. Now this time, inside the Eon card, we are going to use the Eon content, and that is the Eon card content, and also the Eon card header. So I'll add the Eon card header, and inside I will just type, say, 10 days forecast, because that is what we are getting. So this is supposed to be card. Now, still inside the Eon card content, I'll add the Eon grid, just like what we did here, and we'll use the Eon row and the Eon call. Now, as I explained in the last video concerning this Eon card content and Eon grid, we can think of this like the bootstrap grid system. So it uses 12 columns grid. So we can decide to use one column or two or three, but maximum of 12. Here we use the call 4, and if we sum them up, they are equivalent to 12. So right here, I'll add the Eon grid. Inside the Eon grid, I'll add Eon row. Now, in this Eon row, that is where I'll add our ng4 loop, because we want to loop through our forecast list array. So if I go back to app.component.ts, right here you can see we have this forecast key inside the location object, and inside the object, the result returned for the forecast, we have another array called list. Inside this array, we have 10 different objects because we are returning 10 weather forecast data. So right inside here, I'll do ng4 to loop through the array. So this is going to be let forecast off. Now you might be wondering, where do we want to get our data from? We want to get our data from this slide. This is where we want to get our data from, because we are using ng for let slide of slides. Now this slide is going to get every information we have inside the array. Now inside the slide, we still have a list array. So this is going to be slide.forecast.lists. Now this slide here is coming from what we have right here. The forecast is coming from here. That's what we have right here. While this list is an array that is inside the forecast object. So we're saying let forecast of slide.forecast.list. Now we can decide to use the index. So we say let I equal index. Now if you want to use this index, then we are going to use slide.forecast.list at index I. Then from there, we can get whatever value we want to get. But if we use just this forecast variable that we added here, we don't need to make use of this list. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So the first thing I'll add is Eon call of column 4. So inside, we can either do something like this, forecast dot dt. We have a timestamp inside this array or inside the forecast object. So this DT is going to display the time stamp. Now we can either do it this way, we just say forecast.dt, or we can do this way, Ion call, then call for. We can do it this way. We can say slide.forecast.list at index I.dt. So whichever one you want, if you want to make use of the index, you can do it this way. But if you don't want to make use of the index, you just use this forecast, then you get the value from inside the array, because this is going to return the array, which is the list array. Then inside every object in the array, you can get the value that you want. So for me, I'll just go with this forecast.dt. The next thing I want to get, I'll add another Ion call, and inside this Ion call as well, we are still going to use the timestamp. But later we are going to create a function, and inside this function we are going to get the date and also the day of the week. So we are going to see how to use the timestamp to get those information. For now, we are just going to leave it just as we have it from the array. Then the next one, Ion call. Then this is going to be call for. In this case, we want to display the image tag. Now the image tag, as you know, it's going to be http://openweathermap.org, openweathermap.org/w/ then we add our template string. So this is going to be forecast.weather at index 0.icon. Then outside we had .png. So if I go back here, you can see we need to put this tag. So I'll go back here. This is going to be /img. Then I'll add another /. So this is how we get the weather icon. Now the last one, I want to add Ion call as well. So it's going to make up 12 columns. This is going to be the temperature. Now for the temperature, for the forecast information, we have temperature for day, we have temperature for night, and I think we still have temperature for evening. So I'll just take the temperature for day. So this is going to be forecast.temp.day. Then I'll add this symbol right here. You can go ahead to open weather map, try to get the information so that you can see the result that is returned. So for me, I'm just going to use forecast.temp.day. We still have temp.night, temp.evening, whichever temperature you want to use. But for me, I will use the day temperature. So right now with this, we have the timestamp. Here we are going to use this timestamp to display the day of the week. We are going to use this timestamp to display the dates. Then here we are going to display the image icon, and also we are going to display the day temperature. So now if I save this, then I go back here, I just noticed I was just thinking ahead of myself and I made a mistake. This is supposed to be 3. This makes up 16 rather than 12. So I'll change this to 3, 3, 3, 3. Maybe some of you must have spotted the mistake earlier. So we just change this from 4 to 3. So if I save and I go back right here, now you can see we have the timestamp here, which is DT. We have another timestamp, we have the image icon, and we have the temperature. So, but now you can see nothing is happening. We cannot see the first Ion card that we added. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to my Ion slide and add a style. So style, I'll say height. So we want to set the height of the Eon slides to auto. So we are going to override it using the important property. So here it's going to set the height of the Eon slides to auto. We're going to override whatever height is added because right now we can't see, we can't scroll. So if I save this now and I go back, you're going to see now we can scroll the page. Right at the top here, we have the first Eon card, then we have the Eon card for the weather forecast. So now we are able to display the information for the weather forecast. You can decide to go back to the providers weather.ts if you want to maybe return something less. Maybe you want to return 5 data. So if I change this to maybe 5 or 7 or maximum of 16, so whatever you want to do, you can just change it right here, but I will leave mine as 10. So if I go back now, just allow it to refresh, but we are not going to see any change because we didn't change anything. So what we are going to do in the next video is to change this timestamp that we have here to display the day of the week.